Yo, what up with it? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Hoodie, and man, I was sitting back recently the other day with all of this missing submarine news that's been going on. It had me thinking about some similar cases. For example, the missing Malaysia airline flight 370. I'm not sure how many of y'all remember this story from 2014, and at some point on this journey from point A to point B, I'm not sure what happened. I don't even know if they ever came out and said, but we never heard nothing about it since. So in this video, we're gonna dive into what possibly may have happened to the missing Malaysia flight 370. And without further ado, let's jump right into it.
It's one of the greatest mysteries in the history of civil aviation. Since Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 disappeared from radar on March 8, 2014, the whereabouts of the aircraft and the 239 people on board have remained unclear. Since then, we have only been able to speculate about what really happened to MH370 at the time. However, the findings obtained with the help of radar and satellite data strongly suggest that the
That was the picture I was talking about earlier. This was the last picture, the last update that I saw in this situation a couple years ago. What I read was, this is, I believe, in the Cambodian jungle somewhere. But I also did read that someone somewhere, some billionaire, something like, was attempting to put an expedition together of explorers to go and check it out and see exactly what this was. This is where some people believe the flight may have ended up, but only one way to find out.
Aircraft did not disappear in a tragic accident. Was the plane possibly brought down intentionally by the pilot? Did MH370 fall into the sights of terrorists? Or were there even higher powers at work in this tragic incident? Let's put the pieces of this mystery together, piece by piece, and search for answers. The final moments. When MH370 took to the skies at Kuala Lumpur International Airport at 0:42 hours on March 8, 2014, there was nothing to indicate that this flight would be drastically different from all the previous ones. Thus, it was a purely routine flight, and if everything had gone according to plan, the plane would have landed safely in Beijing at 6:20. But as we know today, everything was to turn out quite differently. At 1:07, the ground station received the latest flight data, which showed nothing unusual. Half an hour later, the next report should have been received, but it was not. Even more, the aircraft suddenly disappeared from the radar. It seemed as if the transponder indicating the aircraft's position had been deliberately switched off. The last sign of life that the plane sent was registered at 1:19. Before the pilot, Zahri Ahmed Shah, transferred to the Vietnamese control center areas of responsibility, he bid farewell to Malaysian air traffic control with the words, "Good night, Malaysian 370." Less than 2 minutes later, the aircraft disappeared from the face of the earth. After contact could not be reestablished in the hours that followed, authorities initially assumed that the plane had crashed into the Gulf of Thailand. However, over the course of the next few days, an absolute about-face ensued. From the signals that the plane had still automatically sent to a satellite, it appeared that it had, to all appearances, turned around. Against this background, the theory arose that the communication systems at the border with Vietnamese airspace were deliberately shut off, whereupon a person turned the aircraft around and set course for the Strait of Malacca. Subsequently, MH370 is believed to have flown further and further south over the Indian Ocean before running out of fuel and crashing west of Australia. What followed was the most expected.
I think at the time I remember someone saying that we found debris from the plane, but I never verified that. I found out if that was true or not.
Extensive search operation in aviation history, and a wrecked plane and flight recorder that would never be found. This was despite the fact that several countries took part in the recovery operation, covering a huge area. The last search operation to date was suspended on May 29, 2018, also without results.
Oh, that was recent.
All that has been found of MH370 since then has been a few pieces of debris, which, moreover, could not always be identified beyond doubt. By the time the first piece of washed-up debris was accidentally discovered on Reunion Island, MH370 had been missing for more than 18 months. The search for answers. 227 passengers and 12 crew members, the 239 people who were on board the plane at the time, were officially declared dead in the aftermath. We can only imagine the pain that the relatives still feel in view of an unknown fate of their loved ones. But for the rest of the public too, the search for answers was anything but satisfactory. Thus, we can still only speculate about the true background and course of events of the incident, which now occurred more than 9 years ago. One theory that was initially massively propagated was that of the suicidal pilot. Since the shutdown of the communication systems required a high level of
I never suspected that it was hijacked by a pilot though, because I mean, typically when people hijack planes, don't they do something with it? You know what I'm saying? I mean, don't they actually have somewhere they want to bring it or crash it into something or do something? They don't just go into the ocean with it, right?
expertise, it was considered most likely that parts of the crew were directly involved in the disappearance of the aircraft. Accordingly, the 52-year-old flight captain would have seized sole control of the aircraft to purposely bring it down in the Indian Ocean. However, subsequent investigations could find no evidence to suggest that the pilot actually had suicidal thoughts. And the long duration of the flight also seems to speak against this assumption. If he was planning to end his life and take the other people on board with him to their deaths, why did he continue flying for hours?
Right.
Furthermore, a voice analysis showed that Shah was neither agitated nor under stress during his last radio call. Despite this, everything indicates that the disconnection of the transponder signal and the subsequent change of course were deliberate and methodical. Among other things, the aircraft had a cockpit door that could be locked electronically, so that it was basically possible for the pilots to keep it locked even if someone entered the emergency code from the outside. In addition, it initially appeared that the aircraft had been deliberately maneuvered beyond the official maximum limit. This may have been done to incapacitate the rest of the crew and passengers as a result of the depressurization, because it was actually possible to manually adjust the pressure compensation in the cockpit via special valves. Unlike the oxygen masks in the passenger area, which could provide a person with breathing air for 22 minutes, the masks in the cockpit provided oxygen for 27 hours. However, the collected evidence of deliberate altitude ascent is massively questioned, which is why a few experts believe that such a maneuver never actually took place. Hijacking or accident. Many people believe that MH370 was the victim of a hijacking or sabotage.
So what do y'all think happened so far? I don't think it was a hijack. I'm not sure what could have happened. I mean, do pilots, I mean, there's so many instruments and things like that to keep people on track, communication. I mean, I'm not sure how. Aliens, bro. It's gotta be aliens. This is giving me like heavy Bermuda Triangle vibes. Like I can just picture the compasses spinning and then they get lost and run out of fuel somewhere and just really don't. But that last message from the pilot was kind of strange.
According to this, 2 conspicuous handshakes could be registered before the suspected course change of the aircraft. This is a special procedure used in network and signaling technology. It ensures the confirmation of received data and enables a mutually confirmed connection setup. It is more than unusual for such a handshake to be performed during a flight, and if one follows the investigators' theories, this process is likely to have been connected with the interruption to the satellite data unit. According to this theory, the power supply was deliberately cut in order to paralyze the communication systems. But, conspicuously, no terrorist organization was to claim responsibility for the attack.
Yeah, that's another thing. When planes get hijacked, typically a certain organization or terrorist group would claim it. You know what I mean? They don't really do stuff like that and try to keep it quiet and stay silent with it. You know what I'm saying? They want people to know what they did. They'll claim it. Like, yeah, that was us. We took that. We did that. Come do something about it. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I've always seen terrorist groups operate. Whether that be hacking or kidnapping someone, hijacking a plane, holding something up, they always claim it. You know what I mean? So that's another reason why I'm not really leaning towards terrorists.
In the aftermath. Moreover, subsequent checks of passengers also gave no cause for such suspicions. Those who do not believe that MH370 was hijacked and brought down by terrorists point to the special cargo the plane was carrying. At the time, for example, there was a total of 2.5 tons of walkie-talkie parts in the belly of the plane, including more than 220 kilograms of lithium batteries. Initially, it was speculated that the cargo might have caught fire. However, in such a case, the crew would have certainly sent out a distress call. Moreover, it is extremely unlikely that a fire would have led to the failure of all communication systems, and although a technical cause cannot be officially ruled out, the signs point to the fact that the plane was supposed to disappear on purpose. The question of the crash site. Where there is no conclusive set of facts and incontrovertible conclusion, there is still a lot of room for further speculation. Accordingly, the debris that was felt on land months later is said to have been fakes. Those responsible wanted to put the mysterious case on file and offer the world public something tangible. In reality, according to relevant theories, the plane did not fall from the sky in the Indian Ocean at all, but in the middle of the jungle. This was the conclusion reached by a private forensic expert after he studied the case in detail.
That's what I was told.
In September 2019, British video producer Ian Wilson attracted attention when he put forward a completely new theory about the missing plane. In this regard, he posed the following question. What if MH370 had crashed not over the sea, but on land, and in an area that is both remote and inaccessible? To pursue this lead, Ian began reconstructing the plane's possible flight paths. In doing so, he focused on a course that would have taken MH370 south from northern Asia. Hoping to locate a lone plane wreck in the middle of nowhere, he scoured satellite imagery. Lo and behold, in the middle of the jungle of Cambodia, lay dormant an object whose shape was undoubtedly reminiscent of an airplane. However, the time came when Ian was no longer satisfied with evaluating images. Together with his brother Jackie, he scraped together his savings to go personally into the Cambodian jungle.
Did they go?
It was clear from the start that this would not be a relaxing walk in the forest, however. The terrain became so rough over time that even the guides refused to go any further.
What?
So it happened that the pair of brothers had to turn back empty-handed.
Oh, that's what.
But what did the Britain...
I say that, but I do understand how dangerous jungles are. I mean, you got new animals, insects, parasites, stuff that we don't even have treatments for yet. There has to be some sort of effort right now or something to go there and check that out to see if that's the flight. I mean, just imagine, what if some people survive? I mean, I doubt anyone. I mean, you never know. I don't know, man. Humans have survived crazier things in the past, right? But just imagine, what if some people survived that flight, like the show Lost. If you haven't seen that, it's an old show, but just imagine if some people actually survived that flight and had to live in a jungle for a while. For all we know, there could still possibly be someone alive from that flight living in the jungle. According to Google, that jungle is like 1 million acres large, right? So, I mean, look, man, humans can be very durable sometimes. We have survived crazier situations, and if it's one thing about people, if given enough time and to eat, we will survive. We will figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Assuming that we can stay alive long enough and stay fed for long enough, eventually we will figure something out, man. Everybody not gonna make it, but it is possible. It's 100% possible for someone to. But yeah, man, that's all I got for y'all today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know how y'all feel down in the comments. What do you think happened to this missing Malaysia flight, bro? Do you think it's sitting somewhere in Southeast Asia in the jungle, or do you think it sank to the bottom of the ocean with everything else this week? Y'all let me know how y'all feel down in the comments below. But until next time, man, peace.